Welcome to another Right Now special. While the alleged pandemic is a global affliction, with all but a tiny handful of nations imposing the will of the World Health Organization and indeed their biggest funder, a software developer, Mr. Bill Gates, no one is yet, and I emphasize yet, taking it to the level of the State of Israel. 2 weeks ago, an audio recording of an activist in the country went viral across social media. She was describing what was happening in Israel, and it sent chills down the spines of many. It's a two-tier state now, the vaccinated and the unvaccinated, the washed and the great unwashed, with huge restrictions imposed on those that refuse the experimental jab. I'm joined today by journalist and host of the Ignorant Chimp podcast, Gal Shelev. Gal, mate, how are you? Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
So what is happening in Israel?
Oh, mate, it's moved. It's moved very quickly. From the last time we spoke, I think we spoke about a month and a half ago, and it still wasn't at this point. We're under complete medical tyranny here in Israel. The interesting part is that it's not coming as much from the government as it is from our own citizens, right? So like the government put this level of fear into the citizens in which we've been outcasted. We can't go into restaurants. We can't go into cafes. And this isn't being done, and it's quite interesting. It's quite an interesting psychological problem here, because it's not being done by police and army. It's done by our own citizens, and it's a pretty incredible thing to see
This
and
was
witness.
That was what I was going to ask you actually. The next thing I was thinking was, do you think this is a short-term thing that's going to go away, or it's long-term? But obviously, if you're saying it's the people doing it, then that's a much more serious
Oh,
problem.
yeah, mate. The next step is our kids. So right now, they're pumping. The MSM is pumping how dangerous the kids are, and they're a ticking time bomb. So at this point, what they're doing is they're pushing this children agenda into the vaccination, into this vaccination campaign. So right now we're in full on, psychological warfare. This is not. I'm not being parabolic. This is full on psychological warfare. We have family infighting. We have neighbors hating neighbors. We have people calling for people like me to be in jail. We're a danger to society. We're a walking disease. We're potential murderers. That's what they're calling us, all over mainstream media, all over social media, and they're doing the same thing with our kids right now, which is a sign to come. Within about 2 months, they're probably going to try and start the children vaccination, and this is when shit's going to hit the fan.
So how does it affect you? So say from the minute you get up to the minute you go to bed, what what is it? What is different for you as an unvaccinated person? What can't you do?
So I'm a little bit lucky because I have my own personal business and I don't work for anybody. Anybody who works for somebody, right? Anybody who's an employee, either had to get vaccinated or was fired. So right now you have, the people who were very, very strongly ideologically against what's going on, they've been fired. So they have no work, they have no income. People like me, we're still a little bit lucky because I have my own business, so I'm not in that fear factor where I have to either choose the food for my children or get vaccinated. But I am completely shunned out from society, so I can't go into restaurants and sit down. My wife the other day, she was with her vaccinated sister, and they went to grab a coffee, and when they came to sit down, there's a sign on the table. These seats are for vaccinated people only. So this is full on apartheid, medical tyranny. It's no different than South Africa, blacks against the whites, 1970s, 60s. Black people in America having to get up off their seat on the bus for the white people. Only it's worse because we're not just socially shunned, we're actually being looked at as a danger to society. And once you look like a danger to society, people can become violent, right? So we're just at the brink of when this is going to start to get violent.
This is, I mean, I've heard it described by several people from Israel where they're saying that this is like the start of Nazi Germany. In the
Yes.
same way, I mean, is that going too far to suggest that?
No, a lot of people are getting upset with that type of, when you give that kind of like connotation, a lot of people are getting upset because what they imagine is the shooting squads. They imagine the gas chambers. But this is 1932 to 1936. The propaganda, the massive uh, onboarding of the masses to hate a certain type of person. But it's on a whole new level because if back then you had to sit down in front of the radio or in front of this black and white TV set, he they're being bombarded with their phones, with social media. Celebrities are getting paid to push this narrative. You have celebrities that were loved, you know what I mean? And now they're calling for people like me to lose all their rights, every single right. And this is completely against the Nuremberg laws. Our courts are throwing our because we have a lot of lawyers and we have a lot of groups that are sending in for our high courts. We're trying to fight this, and it's just getting thrown out of court like it's I don't know how to explain it, man. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Is there a pushback from people like yourself? Because you obviously, Gal, you're not going to be the only person that's fighting back. Is there a movement being built of people that are saying, no, this isn't right?
Yeah, it's growing. It's growing in numbers, and the more they push us to the corner, the more we're finding each other. So, if up until now we've been dispersed all over the country, because they're really putting us into a corner, we're kind of regrouping, and we're becoming a really massive power against this tyranny. We have a citizens investigation going on now. We've already been able to get our health ministry to change their protocol because up until now, in their protocol, it said that the FDA gave this I don't want to call it a vaccine, whatever it is, that they gave it authorization. We got them to take that off, right, off the website and off. So up until now, people in Israel were absolutely sure that this thing had complete authorization. They didn't even understand what emergency use authorization was. Nobody was telling them this. We've been vaccinating pregnant women. Just a very young woman just died the other day with in week 36. She was absolutely a healthy woman. She has two twins at home, 3 years old. She got her second shot, and days later she started bleeding from her uterus, and she died together with her baby. So that's just one story out of hundreds, if not thousands.
This it makes me feel sick, to be honest, mate. But this is Pfizer, isn't it? It's Pfizer it's the Pfizer vaccine you've got
Yeah,
there.
yeah, we have Pfizer vaccine here. Moderna is probably going to come at some point. I think Moderna is more active right now with the kids uh, clinical trials. They're already doing clinical trials on 6 month olds. Man, it's listen. We are. I don't want to sound hyperbolic, and we're pretty relaxed people on a day-to-day basis, but we're at 100% war. We're at war on our mind. We're at war on our body, and very soon we're going to be at war for our children. So tomorrow we have a massive protest, as you probably know, worldwide protest against tyranny, and hopefully it'll be the first time in Israel where the crowd comes out, because up until now, people have been completely asleep, completely brainwashed, 100%.
I think as tragic as it is, and it's the same with the UK, mate. Like, things need to get so bad before, people like yourself, people like me, people like others that can see it coming are saying, hey guys, like, this is coming, and you get called a tinfoil hat and a flat earther or whatever. And it only takes it to get to the point where it's absolutely horrific, where these people go, oh my God, like, this is bad, isn't it? And it's the only positive I can try and take from this. Do you take some positive from that?
So I do take positive in the fact that maybe at some point enough people will wake up, which will create a change. But I have to say, Gareth, it's actually pretty bad because, as I said, it's not the army and the police coming to do. They're doing their thing as well, but it's not them coming to me with a gun. It's my own citizens coming to me with a virtual gun. So even if tomorrow they come to my house banging on the door, taking me and my kids, my neighbor is going to be clapping. They're going to be, yeah, take those dangerous people away. Take them away. There's nobody that's going to be helping us. There's no hope in terms of like the citizens waking up and saying, and I'm talking about, the masses, right? There's at no point, and I'm already sure of this, because if they're talking about vaccinating kids with an experimental drug that they don't know what it is, they don't know what the long-term effects are, and people are waiting to vaccinate their kids for a disease, if it even exists, for a disease that does absolutely no harm to kids. There hasn't been one child who has been harmed by this disease in Israel, and they still have these parents just waiting to get them vaccinated. There's been a poll in every school, um, where they needed at least 60% of the parents to agree to do the PCR testing, to shove those things up their nose, the kid's nose. 80% of parents said yes.
So you've got 20% of parents that are in any way actually a parent then, basically.
Yeah, and they're also, if you push them hard enough, they're not gonna, they're not warriors. They understand that something's going on. But if you push them hard enough, we're gonna go down to about probably 5% to maybe even 3%. But that's 3% lions. Like that's 3% warriors. That's 3% people who, just like me, are willing to die for this. Yeah.
Are there people that are maybe like the older generation that have seen, what's happened before? They've seen, what happened in Europe, which led, to the state of Israel in the first place. Are they saying, because I've heard a couple of people say things like, obviously drawing comparisons as we've spoken about. Are they the kind of people that are fighting back and saying, look, we've seen this before, please listen?
So you'd be surprised. I mean, the amount of brainwashing this year with the mainstream media, together with the social media, together with the shaming, right? And together with the fact that the word vaccine is already within our society for years, and anti-vaxxers have always been shunned out. So right now, very easy to throw these people who are against what's going on as anti-vaxxers, conspiracy theorists. They don't. So what I'm trying to say is, to your question, even people who have witnessed, what happened in Europe, some of them have been brainwashed so much that they do not think that this is happening again. They actually believe that this vaccine is a present from God. You know what I mean? They think that what they're doing is legitimate to people who are being unvaccinated. They think they don't. It's like the cognitive dissonance is just off the hook.
Do you think, because it's interesting you say psychological warfare, because that's exactly what it is, and that's exactly how it's been in the UK as well, from the beginning, even down to things we spoke about on the podcast where they were showing clips of people dropping dead in the street in China to get everyone frightened, and it obviously never happened anywhere else. And the media doesn't actually talk about the fact that it never happened anywhere else. But do you see what's happening in Israel now spreading out across the rest of the world, across Europe into the United States and stuff?
No, this is, Garrett, I asked you if we could speak so the world could hear. This is coming. I mean, Sweden, I just saw that they're coming out with that green passport bullshit. Sorry for my language. This digital passport, which is actually a digital tattoo of, that's what it is. It's a digital tattoo of what people went through in the 1940s, in order to get in the door somewhere. This is coming everywhere. Like, if you guys think that you can stay quiet and slowly things are gonna go away, you better wake the F up, because it's coming. It's coming. And we're the test dummies, right? So they took a society, that's a pretty strong-minded society, and we can say that there's a lot of intellectuals here in Israel. Anybody who doesn't know what Israel is, and I'm gonna say this because I've heard it from a lot of people. They think this is some deserted area and we ride on horses. Listen, we all drive in brand new cars. We have, top of the notch technology. Everything in Israel is high level Western society type. We live in a democracy, or what we thought was a democracy, and this is a test hub for what they're about to do to the rest of the world.
I suppose Israel is perfect, given the fact that you've got, a relatively, worldwide wise, a relatively small population as well. So like you say, it's perfect for a test.
Yeah, it's perfect for a test also on the fact of how many people you can brainwash that are actually, intelligent people who are just, everyday intelligent people, not religious, you could even say atheists, people who live their life, who care about the good life, who want to just travel. Listen, we've been locked in this country for a few months, and we've already vaccinated over half of our population, other than the kids. And if you take away the kids, we've vaccinated very, very high percentage of our population, and our airspace has still been closed for just up until Saturday, so up until tomorrow. So they were able to vaccinate everybody and still not let them fly, right? So like we're stuck in here. People who are outside are stuck from coming in. It's just complete. It's just a big ghetto. It's a massive ghetto, and it's only very lucky that I could still have these conversations. I don't know how long we're going to be able to have that for.
That it's so important that we have these conversations, because I don't believe, like, as I said, like when I was introducing you, like I remember showing footage of kids in the Far East in masks and stuff, and everyone was like, this won't happen in England, this won't happen in the USA, and here we are now with this, where kids have got masks in school. So I look at what you're saying now, and I know people will be listening to this, listening to you, Gal, going, well, they won't do that in England. And people need to wake up, like you say.
Oh, you guys just need to look at the playbook. Just look at the playbook. Look at what they're saying on mainstream media. Every time they give a hint of something that sounds absurd, that's actually a little seed that they're putting into your mind. They'll leave it aside for a while, and they'll let it kind of linger within the society just as a something in the back of their head, and then afterwards they'll find the reason to bring that thing in. So first they'll find the fear factor, you know the drill, problem reaction solution, and that's how they've been doing it in Israel. It's a very easy playbook for anybody who's willing to see, but it's been a constant putting a seed in our mind, seeing how the people react, seeing how it reacts on social media, and then kind of backstepping, saying, oh, we can't do that lawfully. And then boom, they find a reason to do it. There's a mutation, there's this, there's that. So you guys better be careful. Please wake up. I am not like one of those, like a full-on conspiracy theorist. I'm not here to, to be parabolic. You guys better wake up. You guys better wake up, and you better stop it now, because for us it's a little bit too late. We've already been 70 or 80% vaccinated for the kids above 19 years old. You guys better wake up. You guys better wake up, because you're not even going to know about the people who are dying from this vaccine. The mainstream media is lying about everything. Now we have a lot of inside information because we've opened up our own websites for people to do like a VERS, the VERS, the type thing that CDC
Yeah.
has, where you can, go in and put your whatever happened to you from the vaccine, if you have any side effects and stuff like that. We've been doing our own work with that, and like I said, we've also opened a citizens investigation into this thing with lawyers and with doctors and scientists, and we're getting true stories from families. It's in the thousands. It's in the thousands, thousands of thousands. Women are suffering from bleeding constantly. Women who just had their menstrual cycle a week before their vaccination are bleeding nonstop for 2 weeks, just after the vaccination. People are getting Bell's palsy. People are dying in their car. People are dying days or even hours after the vaccination. And the mainstream media just doesn't talk about it. And then they have an easy time calling it fake news when it's on Facebook and when it's in WhatsApp or Telegram. It's just fake news.
That's why we need people like you, Gal. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing. So these websites that you're talking about, where can people find them? What's the URL of these websites?
So they're obviously in Hebrew. I don't know how much of a good time they'll have looking for it. So we have a really good website. It's called Nowhere to Know. Know as in knowing, know where to know, and most of it's in Hebrew. There's great movies in there, in general. A lot of your dad's stuff and just a lot of things that we translate into Hebrew for our Israeli people, so they can hear what people like your dad have to say if they don't speak English. So that we're actually opening up a category just for people to first eye accounts. We only want first eye accounts, like whether it happened to you or your sister, your mother, your dad, whatever. We don't want to know about a friend of a friend, right? So we're already starting to get lots of emails. And then, like I said, there's the citizen investigation, which, it's not open to the public at the moment until we get everything together, and then we're going to put out a report. And then you have a website called Nakim, that means kind of like to build, right? But it's all in Hebrew. So I don't know if anybody knows Hebrew where you guys are at. Nakim, nakim.co.il. You can go in there, pages and pages and pages of people from firsthand stories of what's been happening to them after the vaccine.
Gal, thank you so much for talking to us, mate. And thanks for everything that you
Yeah,
do.
thank you.
It's so important, and Gal's doing a fantastic job in Israel, so thank you again. Now, our mission isn't to be depressing or fearmonger, but there is a very real chance that what Gal's talking about there is coming to your country soon. Remember, sharing images of children in masks in the Far East was met with claims of, they'll never do that here, and yet here we are. This is planned for everywhere, the worldwide. This is why this information is so vital. We must rise up to oppose this tyranny before it gets a foothold. There is infinitely more of us than there are of them. Have a great weekend from everyone here at Iconic.